Behind the glossy ads and wholesome images lies a web of deceit and profit. The money, it was the cause of it all. It has corrupted the lands and spread lies. The poor man across the street wants more. The billion-dollar corporation wants more. They lied to feed us, to suck our souls out. Stay with me and let me show you the truth at the end.
Do you remember the first time you ever tried to cook something? The first ever thing you tried to cook in your entire life. Perhaps you were aged 8, 9, 10, whatever it is. Because I remember mine, and mine was actually a traumatic experience. It had a positive and a negative experience, and I'll tell you why. The first thing I wanted to cook was eggs. Very iconic, because eggs are like my favorite food and I always preach about them, and it's so iconic. I just realized this. My first food ever, eggs. And I go into the kitchen and I'm seeing my family cook eggs all the time, and here's sneaky little Ali trying to find the way to cook eggs and see if he can make his own meal. I was probably like 10 years old at the time, or 11 or 12. I don't know my age, but I was very, very young. Keep in mind my age because of the manipulation that would corrupt my mind in a second. I go into the kitchen and I grab the eggs from like the little egg carton that the family has. It has like 30 eggs inside. I put my hand, climb the shit, and I just grab 2, 3 out of the egg carton. And I put them to the side and I hide them in the corner so that nobody walks into the kitchen and sees me cooking. And I grab a pan. I grab any random pan. Non-stick pan made out of Teflon. Again, these things we now know 10, 20 years down the line. Picked out a random fan made out of Teflon and I put it on the stove, and I grabbed a stick of butter. And when I grabbed the stick of butter, I heard someone enter the kitchen, right? And I knew I was fucked. I have the pan on the stove, I have the eggs on the side, and I have a stick of butter in my hand. I wasn't allowed to cook, right? Because like I was still too young, but I was being mischievous and everything. And the person walks into the kitchen, and it was my mother. And the first thing she does, doesn't even say anything. She just grabs the fucking butter out of my hand, snatches it, and instead points at this gallon, this jug of vegetable oil. And she says, "We don't eat butter here. Butter is bad for you. Butter is bad for your heart. Instead, I want you to take this jug of vegetable oil, which is basically a mixture of flaxseed oil, all the seed oils basically in one thing combined into one." And that's what we used. And I realized, oh, well, my mom is a doctor. My mom knows. Let me just listen to what she says, because that's probably the truth, right? Never used butter to cook eggs in my childhood. This was just one of the many, many things that I fucked up in my childhood based upon misinformation. The non-stick pans, the seed oils that were unhealthy. I was told by my parents, salt is unhealthy, salt is unhealthy. And now that we know this is a complete fucking sham, it's a complete scam caused by the sugar industry, and it was a complete bribery. And our fucking parents had to just listen to this lie of, oh, salt is bad, salt is bad. And this was just amongst one of the many, many, many things that we were lied to and fucked up our childhood. And you know what? Many years down the line, it's literally no wonder why I grew up with gyno. Dunking oils, literally. I remember, because I thought the oil tasted good, right? I would dunk cups of oil into the pan and just cook it on high heat and cook the eggs with it. And yeah, the eggs were nice, but imagine having the oil, that amount of oil, enter your bloodstream every single day. How fucked is that? It's no wonder I'd have gyno growing up. And I still have it to this day, literally. I don't know if you can see it, but like, you can see the gyno to this day. And I still suffer from it, from the actions that happened to me in my childhood and the misinformation. Now, amongst this misinformation, or possibly the information, because we're allowed to, or we have to listen to the people who know, to the doctors who get bribed, to the associations and the institutions who get fucking bribed, because everything in the world is a business, maybe we should just, listen and obey. We have to. We are told to obey and to stick true to the seed oils and the nut milks of the world. Why? Why should we stay true and stick to these? Apparently it's healthier, right? But let me ask you this. Why should our food come from the hands of a fucking biochemist in a laboratory instead of nature, which has served us for millions upon millions of years? Let's explore right now what they do to nut milk and why you should or shouldn't consume it. So first, I'm gonna ask you a question of what is better. And the first contender is nut milk. Let me first tell you how nut milk is made so that you can have some context of who is the better opponent. Nut milk or a secret opponent that I will discuss right after I tell you how this beautiful concoction is made. First, they source and sort the nuts. In this case, let's just say it's almonds, right? It's almond milk. They source the nuts from the depths of the jungle and they sort it. What sorting means is basically they grab the nuts and they filter out any like animal shit that's inside. They filter out like the sand, the grains, they filter out like pollutants, water contaminants. They try and filter it out to the best of their behavior and actions, but a lot of the times these pollutants they just enter the whatever it is, right? They try to filter out the physical, contaminants like shit, like dirt, and any sort of, intra nut, contaminants. They try and filter it out. So they sort it and they source it from wherever they're sourcing it, and then they source it. This is step 1. Now, step 2 is cleaning and blanching. So cleaning sounds simple, they try and like clean it up more, but the blanching part is where it starts to get interesting. This is where modern processing starts to lay its greedy, its disgusting and corruptive witchcraft hands upon our foods. So what they do with blanching is they boil the almonds, and then they cool it. And then they boil it, and then they cool it. And then they boil it, and then they cool it. And this process of boiling and cooling happens multiple times at such high temperatures that cavemen wouldn't even believe existed. It wouldn't even believe. And I don't mean to like compare us to cavemen and be like, oh, we have to be like it. But point is, it's a very unnatural process, right? But does unnatural necessarily mean bad? Well, let's find out. They boil it and then they cool it, and then they boil it and then they cool it. Now, what some of you science nerds may understand is that with especially organic compounds like nuts, like organic, any foods in general, when you boil something or heat it, when you heat it and then cool it and then heat it and then cool it, what happens is a process called denaturing. And denaturing is basically fucking up the nutrient profile of the food. Basically just soaking up away and suckling any nutrients out of the food. In this case, it's the almonds, right? Now, we've sucked it, we've boiled and cooled and sucked it out of many nutrients. What's the next step of our process? Well, step 3, you have soaking. You grab the almonds that you just boiled and cooled, and you soak them in a pod of water or a pool of water with millions of other almonds, and you soak them in there for a prolonged period of time. Whether that be 8, 12, 24 hours, you just dunk them in there and you soak them. And what this does is it softens the almonds to be prepared for the next step. But it also does another thing. It also it removes the nutrients out of the almonds. And the nutrients are just spread around in this almond water mix. This mix. And that's where we are right now. So we've soaked the almonds and it's just left in a pool. Next step, which is step 4, we grab these almonds out of the water when they're nice and mushy and soft, and then we grind them. We grind them in an industrial grinder, again, filled with millions upon millions of other almonds, and we grind and grind and grind. And you don't just grind once they're just ground. This is still step 4. They're ground. You grab them out and then you blend them in a mix of emulsifiers, in a mix of flavorings, in a mix of thickeners, in a mix of just a bunch of stabilizers, and you mix them together. Why? Well, it's mostly for texture and taste. Things that evolutionary clearly are super important, right? Because everything that tastes good is probably good for us. We know how that went with the sugar fucking scam. But anyways, they mix the blend and it just comes out this mush, basically. This mush of ground almond stabilizer, emulsifier, thickener, flavoring, sweetener mix. And then we have this mush. So what do we do with this mush? Well, if you think we're done with the treatments and the post-processing and all of this, we're not halfway there. Next, step 5, enzyme treatment. What enzyme treatment is they add this enzyme to the mush, to the almonds, and it's usually cellulase, right? They add cellulase to break down the cell wall, because in plants, this is biology class grade 3, right? Plants have cells, and these cells have cell walls. These cell walls give like a gritty texture when you eat them, right? It's almost like a thick texture. And of course, the billion-dollar corporations that want to suck you out of your money and also your health know this. They know that the texture probably won't be nice and you probably won't buy their nut milk anymore. So what do? They add the cellulase and they enzyme treat your fucking milk. They enzyme treat this mush and they put it into a concoction, right? They mix this concoction together and they treat it, right? They treat it. So now the cell walls are broken down by this cellulase treatment. Now, once you've been treated, once this whole chemical enzyme treatment has been completed, the next step is to strain it. It's probably mixed with all of this bullshit, water, emulsifiers and everything. So what do? We strain it. We strain this mush from, the mix, watery mix. We strain it and we filter them apart, right? And this is where the steps start to get even more fucked. But I just want to remind you, if you think it's any form of natural straining, it is industrial equipment used to strain this mush. Step 7, and this is one of the most fucked steps out of all of them. It is deodorizing the mush, which is basically, well, deodorizing sounds pretty self-explanatory, but you create artificial smells and you spray it upon this, not the mush, the water, right? Because you're removing the mush, you're removing the plant, and you're filtering out the water because that's the milk that you drink, right? You filter it out, and then you have it, right? So what do? You fucking spray it because it smells like shit. It smells like a lab. It smells like chemicals. It smells like bleach. It smells like bleach, and they're spraying it with bullshit so that you don't smell it, okay? So that's step 7 complete, deodorizing. Next, not only does it smell like shit, but it looks like shit, and there's all sorts of like mush and garbage in this mix. So what do? Homogenization. They grab this high pressure equipment and they filter out the contaminants on the emulsifiers and the things that basically would give it a shitty texture, like gums and pulp. And they try and mix it, they try and filter it using high pressure equipment, and this is called homogenization. Next step, and this is what they do with milk, by the way, a step they do with milk, real milk, cow milk. Pasteurization. What they do is they grab this mix of water, like the water almond milk, they grab it and they pasteurize it. And how do they pasteurize it? They heat it to astronomical heat levels. Why? To kill off any bacteria. Honestly, at this point, I don't think any bacteria would survive the fucking chemical treatments that they put the almond milk. But hey, it's time to be safe. So they heat it to astronomical levels, further destroying any ounce of nutrient left in the milk. But if you think they're just gonna leave it at that, next step, fortification. They realize they have this concoction of almond water, like literal death, concoction of death. It's soulless. And the fact that the proof that it's soulless is they realize, oh shit, we kind of stripped it away out of all of its nutrients. So what do? A step called fortification, which means they add artificial nutrients. They add vitamins, they add whatever, like all the nutrients they add. Whatever it is, they just add, depending on the manufacturer, depending on whoever it is, they add nutrients, they add like, not chemicals, they add like vitamins and the minerals of the sort. They add it to the thing because, we don't have nutrients anymore. And that's the fortification step. That must be it, right? There's 10 steps. You've literally, this is the most chemically altered thing in the world. It has to be enough. You must be joking, Ali. Step 11. pH treatment and stabilization. So science nerds also know what pH is. And if something is too low pH, it can fuck up your body. If something is too high pH, it's too acidic. If it's too low, it's acidic. If it's too high, it's too basic. And it's like a pH scale, right? If it's too low, it can fuck up your body. If it's too high, it can fuck up your body. Acids are too low and they melt through your body. And bases, I'm not sure how they affect your body exactly, but they fuck up your body. And this concoction that we decided to create, this chemical amalgamation of death that should not exist on this planet, has been altered so much that it is not even safe to drink anymore. So what do? They adjust the pH. They adjust it by adding gums and stabilizers and xanthan gum and like just garbage. But it's not only for pH, by the way. They do it for pH and for texture. Because apparently xanthan gum and just gums in general, you mix it together and it gives it a better texture. And it also gives it a better shelf life so that they can keep their stores longer, their reserves and the stocks longer in store, so that you, measly little peasant who's been lied to by the fucking... You go and buy it from the store and you give it to your family. Hey guys, I got us some healthy milk because I'm a healthy vegan. I'm a healthy vegan, man. My bones are about to break and they're so brittle, but I'm a healthy vegan. Take my nut milk, please. Thank you. And of course, if you think it ends there, we're almost done. The packaging. Where do you think it's packaged? Well, of course, in plastic. It's packaged in plastic. And not only are they packaged in plastic, sent directly to yours truly, but they're also packaged using aseptic packaging techniques, which basically means they package it in a way where it does not get, like there's no bacteria that can touch it unless it's opened. That's why you can see some milk that you can leave outside for months and it will be fine until the day you open it. Now there's a myriad of demonic ways they use to achieve this aseptic packaging techniques, like radiation, thermal processing. They even spray chemicals on the carton or whatever they use to package to have this, this effect of never spoiling until it's opened so that you can buy more and buy more. Anyways, this is, if you think it's done, it was not done. But there is where we end it, with the aseptic spraying and the chemical sprays and the ultraviolet, the ultra heated techniques and the thermoradial and all this bullshit. So then you decide to buy the almond milk. You decide to buy it because you have hopes of being a healthy individual and staying away from the red meat because it causes evil, disease and harm and high cholesterol, and we're not going to eat like our ancestors because they died at age 20 and 30. So the almond milk comes to you. And you grab it and then you decide to drink it. Well, what you don't know is that you are drinking phytic acid, which in basic terms is a complete anti-nutrient. It's an anti-nutrient. And what this does is it sucks away zinc from your body. It sucks away magnesium from your body. It sucks away many minerals from your body. And guess what testosterone needs to be produced? Well, it needs zinc. It needs zinc. It's interesting how soy boy and nut milks are just combined together. It makes sense scientifically now. So not only are you consuming, these phytic acids, you're also consuming sweeteners. But it would be fine. It wouldn't be fine. It would be okay if it was real sweeteners. If it was cane sugar. No. The case of almond milk and nut milk does not disappear there. It does not. You're consuming the most demonic, chemically created, literally biochemically created from the weirdest compounds put into one thing, and you have a sweetener, an artificial sweetener that you're consuming, causing carb addiction, insulin resistance, fucking up your testosterone levels because sugar and testosterone are very inversely correlated. You're also consuming the xanthan gums and the Arabic gums, the emulsifiers and the stabilizers and the thickeners. You're also consuming those, further fucking up your digestive system. You're also creating an omega-6 and omega-3 imbalance, causing inflammation throughout your whole body, causing swelling, causing you to feel like shit, causing you to break out pimples everywhere, causing you to feel like a fucking sloth. How much do I have to speak? And if you think I was done, no, we are not. We have phytoestrogens being consumed. And if you don't hear the word estrogen inside phytoestrogens, then let me spell it out for you. ESTROGEN. You are drinking that out of a bottle, inversely correlating with testosterone, making you feel like shit, making you not want to do work, making you look like a fucking dumpling, creating gyno for you, ruining your childhood's life. Now I'm gonna ask you what's better, because that was the first contender. This or cow milk? This? Nut milk? Or cow milk? And you know what's the funny part? The funny part is they convinced you and so many people that the nut milk was better. And you fucking listened. You listened to the fucking bullshit that nut milk was better. You listened. How did you listen? How did you not look? How did you not look and search and find out all this bullshit The cow milk is worse. Oh, it's worse. The raw milk. The raw milk that we've been consuming for thousands, hundreds upon thousands of years, that our body has acclimated to the bacteria that you're so scared of, which is actually good for us. How? We've been lied to and told that the nut milk was better. And you, fucking peasant with the IQ of a pea, listened. Listen to it. Shameful. It's fucking hilarious. It really is hilarious. Our bodies did not evolve this much. They really didn't even evolve at all from the last 100,000 years. Why has our food that used to come from the soil and come from these holes of the animals, why has it evolved to instead come from chemically formulated, laboratory fucking based products? Why? It's the Industrial Revolution and its consequences. And here you are, destroying every inklet of soul out of your body. But oh, the raw milk caused people to die. The cow milk caused people to die. Keep in mind, by the way, I'm talking specifically about raw cow milk, not the bullshit chocolate milk you see in stores. Not that. Keep in mind, that's what I'm talking about, because the people are going to say, oh, but the cow milk is killing people. The cow milk is killing people and the bacteria... Let me tell you a quick story. There was once an Ethiopian king and a Persian king. And the Ethiopian king was a very powerful king. And so was the Persian king. Or so he thought. The Persian king one day came to visit the Ethiopian king. And they were having discussions about their luxuries, and eventually the average age of the people came into play. And the Persian king, this was long ago by the way, long ago in the ancient times, not modern times. So they don't lie to you here. There's no reason for any lies to happen. The Persian king, or the Ethiopian king, asked the Persian king, or one of them asked the other, how long, the Ethiopian king asked the Persian king, how long on average do your people live? And the Persian king looked at the Ethiopian king and he simply said, well, we live around 80 years. And then the Ethiopian king looked at the Persian king, just as I'm looking at you right now, with utmost disgust. 80 years. 80 years, he said to the Persian king. He looked at him with pure disgust and almost a sense of superiority. And he asked him, what do your people eat? And the Persian king said, well, we eat a bunch of grains, we eat a bunch of mostly grains. And the Persian king laughed, or the Ethiopian king laughed at the Persian king's face, and he said, it's no wonder your people live such a short life. 80 years. Keep in mind, he thought 80 years was a short life. It's no wonder they live such a short life when all you're feeding them is fucking grains. Well, he didn't say fucking, but you get the point, right? It's no wonder they're living so short when you're feeding them a diet composed of grains. Our people live to an average of 120 years and they only consume meat and milk. Meat and milk. There was no reason to lie. There was really no reason to lie. And this is not something you can lie about. This is not something you can lie about. This is something that you can literally go up to the people and ask them. There was no reason to lie. There was no incentive. There was no money to be made. There was no incentive for people to lie. Now, do you know why the average age of people seems to be way earlier than now? Because people died so much babies died so much in childbirth. And they account those childbirth deaths into the equation, lowering the average. Because if a child died at 0 years, and the average, imagine there are 3 people, right? One died when he was 0 because he died at childbirth. Another lived to 80 and another lived to 80. That's 160 divided by 3. That's 60 years. That's the average, right? The average is 60. But imagine if it was just counting the 2 guys. The average is now 80. Over a societal level, that's 20 years difference. They counted all the childbirths, and the childbirths accounted for most of the deaths. People lived longer back then. Now, there's something that's really, really bugging me. I live in Canada right now, and you know what's illegal? You know what's illegal, bro? Raw milk. But you know what's legal? I'm gonna fucking go crazy with this rank. What's legal in Canada is fucking coke, is heroin, is it's all these demonic drugs that really cause deaths. But what's illegal and what you cannot get access onto is raw milk. Raw milk that we've been consuming for hundreds upon thousands of years. The most nutrient-dense drink that exists on humanity. Raw cow milk. Prophets drank this. Hundreds upon thousands upon millions of people drank this, and their bones were as strong as titanium. And today we have the weakest bones. We have the most changing. The male bones are looking to become more female-like. Female-like, with less density, with the way they're shaped. Everything is changing because of our diet. Because you're drinking your fucking nut milk. I just want raw milk. I can go out there and get fucking milk. I can get and coke, but I cannot get raw milk. I cannot. It's literally illegal. Now, obviously, there's loopholes. You have to humiliate yourself. You have to go and pretend to say, yeah, this is for my pet. Please, I would never do this. I grant an oath that I will not drink the raw milk. It will be for my pet. And even then, it is really hard. This is the loophole you can do in Canada, by the way. If you guys want raw milk in Canada, go find the pet store and get it from there and say it's for your pet. And it's just disgusting that we have to humiliate ourselves like this and fucking, say, oh yeah, it's for my pet, bro. When literally hard drugs are legal. This is insanity. This is insanity. This is a modern calamity. This is a modern calamity. Truly. I cannot get milk, but I can get fucking coke. And then people wonder why society is so fucked. And then people wonder why men are so weak. And then people wonder why literally all mental health, not just men's, all mental health is at an all-time low. And people are wondering why it's at an all-time low. And please blur that word out because YouTube is gonna cancel me because people can't even be real enough to listen to that word and fucking talk about it. And then people wonder why people are so sensitive because of the fucking hormonal imbalances and the estrogen, the phytoestrogen you're consuming. This whole video was about nut milk, but it goes deeper. This is in all the foods, all the ingredients, all the processing. This is just a script, not a script, a snippet of what modern processed food looks like. When you look at an ingredient list and it looks like this, that's how you know you're consuming death. That's what you're consuming. You're consuming death. So what the fuck can you do? I'll give it simple to you. Consume foods that have no ingredient list. I'm not gonna give you any bullshit diet. Brain dead. Consume foods that your caveman, literally the caveman could have ate. Your great-great-great-great-grandfather could have ate. Could he have eaten Cheetos? Could he have eaten Oreos? Could he have had nut milk? Could he have had nut milk? No, he couldn't have. Could he have had carrots? Could he have had grapes? Could he have had steak? Could he have had chicken? Could he have had eggs? Could he have had any fruit, any vegetable? Yes. Because it exists in nature. If your food is created by nature, eat it. If your food is created by man, run away. Wish not for a lighter load, but for a stronger back.
It was Mother that we should have trusted. Mother Nature.